What you're about to see is a tribute to a silent hero, Ed Strang, a man who has devoted his entire life to the nurturing of young men. Reporters and photographers from People magazine were sent in recognition of Ed's unselfish and tireless efforts in promoting scouting throughout the United States and abroad. In perfect character, Ed downgrades his own importance to the scouting community.
Whatever you write, just use the word humble.
Dignitaries, friends, relatives, and scouts, old and young, came to share in this special day. Ed's influence was far-reaching, even to Hollywood, where one of his former scouts, Brian Dennehy, returned to participate in the day's events. With a chance to renew old friendships and create new ones, people pass stories back and forth throughout the day. More often than not, these stories were concerning one man, Ed Strang.
What are you? You're a tenderfoot? Is that tenderfoot or first class? First class?
Yep. No. Yeah. That's what rank it is. Yeah.
Okay. What about you?
I'm scout.
They don't have that anymore? Like used to have tenderfoot, first class?
It goes
That's a design of it. That's what I call a quick signature. Historical Society?
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Where's your button?
Watch your one more. After this, you and your wife will take a picture. We'll get ours after. I'm sorry.
Here we go. Okay.
Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to our kickoff event for today's Ed Strang Day with special guest Brian Dennehy. We appreciate the fact that you're here today and honoring both Ed and Brian, and we'll keep this speaking program very brief because this is only the beginning of a very busy day for both Ed and Brian. At this time, I would like to call upon Jim Florzak. Jim Florzak is a former scout from Troop 3 in Derby, who is the owner and proprietor of a company called Where It All Began, Bats Company, who's going to be making a couple of special presentations to Ed and to Brian. Jim, where are you? Oh, you're sorry. Good. Right.
Just get out of the way, Jim.
I'm gonna...
I'm John Anglix, and I'm substituting here for Jim Forsythe, because we're kind of working in tandem today. I'd like to let you know that Jim Forsythe is a former member of Pac 3, Troop 3, and Post 33. His claim to fame in the Pac, the Troop, and the Post is that he was the most influential troublemaker that we ever had. But he said he straightened himself out, and he sure did. He is the owner and president of the Where It All Began baseball company in Cooperstown, New York, and Jim came down yesterday to be here, especially with Missy. But he brought with him some bats that he had made. And let me tell you the significance. Jim's company makes baseball bats for, he's one of the 5 companies in the United States that's authorized to make Major League Baseball bats. And he makes the bats for active players, and he also makes the bats as commemoratives for people like Phil Rizzuto, who just was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And Jim has a contract and is making a limited number of bats, and these bats sell in the vicinity of $200, $300, $400 and on up. And as the bats are made, they don't even get out of the manufacturer, and they're sold. So the significance of the bats is enormous, and with Ed's signature and Brian's signature, they're fantastic. There's 12 bats in all. And we're going to raffle 3 of the bats off here today. And if anybody didn't get a ticket, I'm not going to ask you now. You missed the boat. You're just going to have to do it tonight. We're going to have another raffle tonight at the dinner for 4 more. But Jim right now is going to come up and he's going to make a special presentation to Ed and to Brian.
This is good for me because I'm not good at this. He says, just make the presentation. Anything else you have to say, save it for the dinner. Okay, so at this point in time, I'd like to present Ed Strang. We'll honor him here today. It's his lifetime devotion to scouting and to young adults. So Ed. Ed is getting bat number 3, and that's number 3 out of 12. And the significance of that, of course, is Pac 3, Troop 3, and Post 33. So at this time, I personally, on behalf of everybody else here, that appreciates all the work you've done, thank you with that.
Every time I look at it, I'll think you should.
Yeah. And wish he had one years ago. At this time, I'd also like to present one to Brian Dennehy. And Brian has made a point of making sure that the focus is all on Ed Strang today, which is rightfully so. And Brian's been a real gentleman with that. Because being a celebrity, he made sure that that's what he was going to do. Brian?
personally want to guarantee you that these are the only 12 baseball bats in the world with Brian Dennehy and Ed Strang's signature. You don't have to worry about any duplicates. We got this. The only 12. The whole point about me being here today is, of course, Ed. And his is a life of such unselfish dedication and generosity and caring. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people whose lives have been changed and made better and affected by him. Not for money, just because of who he is. And it's important for us, especially these days, to understand that there are still people like that in the world, which is why I'm here. And there was no trouble at all for me to get here. I flew in from Toronto last night, and I'm going out to Los Angeles tomorrow. So it's a mark of my respect and my caring for him and for all of us, for our society, and what people like him mean to our society, that I'm here. So what I really want to do is just take this opportunity to say thank you, Ed. For the years and for the devotion and for his tremendous interest. And thank you all.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Jim? Well, as I said, this speaking program, because it's the beginning of a very long day, will be rather informal, but I would like to ask your indulgence for about 2 minutes while I introduce the President of the Wisconsin Council to stand up and take a bow. Norm Stanton. Norm is here with his wife, and I think I'd like another round of applause as they're celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary tomorrow. Norm Stanton. We also have our Scout Executive, Marty Goodell, here with his wife, Lois. I would like to offer special thanks to our hosts this afternoon, Joanne and Alan Holder from Rathstrassingville Lodge, who always do a great job whenever we have anything pertaining to Scouting. Thank you, Joanne and Alan. Without further ado, I will call upon now the man of the hour. And he has plenty to say today to all of us, so I won't take up my time introducing him because everybody here knows him very well. The honoree for today, Ed Strang.
Thank you. Hear me out there. Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to do some thanks to some people. I want to thank Brian Dennehy very, very much coming all the way down here to be here with us this day. And he's been so generous in taking pictures and everything. Taking pictures and everything. He's been wonderful while he's been here. I don't know whether you know that he was in the Marines for about 3 years. Brian, was it 3 years?
Almost 5 years.
5 years. I was in the Marines for about 5 years. And I had one joke to be using the show, so I want to tell it, about Brian. When he had to get his underwear and everything, there was a line up there, and first guy goes up to the sergeant and says, well, how many sets of underwear do you want? And the guy said, oh, let's say I want 5. The guy said, 5? He says, yeah. He said, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and so forth. And the next guy comes up and he says, well, how many sets of underwear do you want? The guy said, oh, they give me 7. I'm very particular. So they give him 7 sets of underwear and everything. And then Brian comes up, they said, how many do you want? He said, you want 12. I said, the guy says, 12. He says, yeah, January, February.
Keep the day job.
And I want to thank John Mack for all he's done too on this thing here. And I have a little joke about him too. Yeah, it's a little joke. I couldn't have a big one about you. It seems that we had 3 scouts and they were hiking up on the river road, and all of a sudden they see a car right in the water. And so they rushed over and they helped the people out, saved their lives and everything. And
When they got out, they find who was it with John Rowland, who's running for governor. And John says to the boys, he says, the first boy, he says, you saved our lives. What would you like to be? And the guy said, oh, he said, I'd like to go to West Point. And John says, oh, he said, I got connections, no doubt about it, you can go to West Point. Then he asked the other fellow, he said, well, what would you like to do? And the fellow says, oh, he says, I want to go to Annapolis. And John says, oh, that's easy too. I've got connections, we'll work it out. And the third one comes along is Aaron Rack, his son, and he says, Aaron, what do you want? What would you like to be? And Aaron says, he says, I'd like to be buried in Arlington Cemetery. And he says, that's a peculiar request. Why would you want to be buried in Arlington Cemetery? And Aaron says, well, my father's the chairman of the Democratic County Committee. When he finds I saved the Republic, he's going to kill me. And I'd like to thank Mr. Foy, who started this off a couple of years ago, and he's here tonight. And of course, I want to thank Randy River, who was there. He's over at the Green. And I want to say, on your way home, you just stop at the Green and see what all the scouts and everything are doing. They're having a wonderful program over there. And he deserves an awful lot of credit along with John Rack and also Bruce Still. And I have a little joke about Bruce, too. Bruce was scout master of the troop for a couple of years, and that's why we're in such good condition today. It seems that he and his wife weren't sure what their son was going to be when he was growing up. So they took him to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist said, well, we'll find out what he's going to be. So they put Bruce Jr. in a room, and they brought in a Bible. They put a Bible in there. They put an apple in there, and they also put a $10 bill. And the psychiatrist said, well, if he reads the Bible, he's going to be more or less, he's going to be a minister. If he eats the apple, he'll probably be a farmer. And if he takes the $10, he's going to be a salesman. So they watch Bruce through a glass in there, and Bruce comes in, and Bruce Jr. comes in, and he looks at the Bible, and he starts reading, and he grabs the apple, he starts eating the apple, and he takes the $10 and puts it in his pocket, and he walks out of his room. And his mother says, oh my God, he's going to be a politician. And then there's Paul Denise in the army.
Is that Paul Denise there?
He was having trouble with his waterworks, after he beginning to. So he went to the doctor, and he said, Dr. Stowe, don't worry, we'll take care of that, we'll take care of that and everything. Because Paul said he couldn't go at all, He said, the doctor said, we'll take care of that. So he says, take these pills. So Paul takes the pills for a week and everything. He comes back to the doctor and says, how's it working out? Paul says, great. I go every morning at 6 o'clock now. And the doctor says, that's wonderful. Paul says, not so good, I don't get up till 7. I say that so I don't get too sentimental about other things. And if there's anybody I forgot here, Marty, of course, did an awful lot of work in the scout end and everything, and I want to thank him and the group over there too. Anybody else that helped out here, I'd like to thank you too very much for all you've done. I started out scouting in 1910, and scouting started in 1910 too, so there must be some coincidence someplace along the line, there. And my father died in 1919, and he had that flu epidemic, and so we were pretty poor. And I got my chance. I joined scouting in 1922, and but we couldn't afford to go to camp. And camp in those days was only $7 a week, and but that was a lot of money way back in the 20s there. And now it's $160 a week, so you can see the difference of going to camp for a week. But anyway, this fellow, Mr. Dwight, maybe somebody, Rudolph Dwight, maybe somebody in real time that you might remember him. He asked me if I'd like to go to camp, and he sent me to camp, and he paid my way, and I went for a week. And I liked it so much that I stayed the whole, they saw that I liked it so much that they let me stay the whole summer. And the next year I came back and I was a junior leader. And then for the next 20 years, I was a leader up at camp. And even when I got a job working for the Derby Gas, I used to get through at 5 o'clock, and we'd run up to the boathouse, and there was a fellow named Sid Alcott, and he would be there with a boat, and he would take me to camp, and the next morning I was able to get a ride down to the neighbor who came down every morning and so forth, So I was able to get to camp, and eventually I became camp director, and way back, I think that was in 32, and that was during the Depression, nobody had any money during the Depression. So they said, well, you can be camp director, but if you're a camp director, the only thing we can do is split the money up. You you're the top man, so you'll get the most of it. So that year, for 6 weeks, I made $30. So you can imagine how much the people did the work on other jobs at camp. But we got by, and we had a good time at camp, you know, and everything. Oh, let's see. Well, another thing I wanted to say is, you know, when that little article came out about Brian Dennehy and I going to be here and everything, especially Brian was going to be here, it got in the Associated Press. And it went all over California. I mean, up as far as California and all over. In fact, Pat Burns is here today. Where's Pat? Pat saw it in the paper out there. That's how he found out this thing was going to be. He came all the way from California just to be here on the thing, you know. And other people saw it too. I got one call from another from California, from a fellow named Fred Space. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers the Spaces that were in Seymour. And the reason I remember him because in 1932, when I was camp director, Mr. Space was chairman of the camp committee. He was checking on me, so I remember them. And he saw it and called me. And then we got a call from Fort Myers, Virginia, and that was from Leo Pagani. Maybe some of you remember him. He's a 3-star general now. And he said he saw it. He was very, very happy to come up here. And anytime the council needed him to speak or anything, he'd be glad to speak. So, and then he also said, you know, he said, the thing I remember most about scouting is Sunday nights at your house. And I don't even remember being there Sunday night, but evidently he had to be a patrol leader and come there. And every Sunday night, we still meet Sunday nights at my house. You know, all the patrol leaders and the leaders. And that's the way they get the work done. But these are the things that impress kids, you know, and you don't realize it. And I have a lot more to say, but I'm going to save some of it tonight, you know, for the dinner. I mean, because I'm not good at making speeches. I can't have it all in one speech. So I just want to thank you all for coming, and thanks a million for helping out and everything you did today. Thank you.
Concludes the speaking program for this particular event, except we want to have a raffle for the bags that John and Jim spoke about. And then we'll be leaving here in motorcade, understanding Brian will, and we'll be going over to Derby Green where the next phase of today's events will be taking place, which will be
See you tonight?
I know. We got one of those on.
Yeah. I was going to mention.
There he comes.
Hey, Strang, can you smile? Smile!
Right there, dude.
I don't know.
There he is.
Okay, go ahead. Good. Color guard. March. Lay down. Thanks a lot. Go ahead. Okay, come on, go. Guys, good job. Go, dead, shut, 3! Color guard, close. As they move, you gotta slide yourself out. Okay. Scout salute. Two.
Excuse me.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts. It's a pleasure to welcome you here to the second part of our Ed Strang Day, along with Ed's special guest from the 1947 minstrel show, Mr. Brian Dennehy. To give us the official welcome from the city of Derby, it's my pleasure to call on the Honorable Alan Schlesinger, Mayor of Derby.
It's great to see all of you out there and such a wonderful turnout on such a wonderful day. And you know, this is symbolic of Ed Strang and Brian Dennehy. This is the way Derby should be. This is the way Derby will always be remembered, with Ed Strang and with Brian Dennehy. And it's my honor as mayor of this city to introduce the following proclamation. Whereas Ed Strang was instrumental in the conception of Path 3 and the development of Cub Scouts as part of the Boy Scouts organization for boys under scouting age. And whereas Ed Strang has been a tireless and dedicated supporter of all youth activities in Derby, the Valley, and throughout the state of Connecticut. And whereas Ed Strang has devoted over 6 decades to the welfare of the youth of our community and has been a respected and influential role model for every individual that has known him. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Alan R. Schlesinger, Mayor of the City of Derby, Connecticut, do hereby proclaim Saturday, September 10th, 1904, as Ed Strang Day in the City of Derby in honor of this most distinguished citizen. Congratulations. Now it's also my honor to present the first of 2 keys to the City of Derby to Mr. Boy Scout, the man who has brought so much to so many here, not only in Derby, not only in the Valley, could you come up, Ed? Not only in the Valley, not only in Connecticut, but throughout the United States and the world. Mr. Boy Scout, Ed Strang, the key to the City of Derby for 67 years of dedication to the Boy Scouts of America. Congratulations. Okay, now, you know, thanks to this next man that I understand who has just come from Toronto and is on his way to LA, the new hub for the airlines is going to be Derby, Connecticut. Going to go from Toronto to LA and the West Coast. Because he's put us on the map. The great city of Derby has become a much greater day because of Brian Dennehy. And now, if Brian can come up. What this key to the city says is to Derby's most famous, and that, believe me, the most famous citizen and beloved, that I will add, and beloved citizen of Derby, next to Ed Strang, of course, the king of the city of Derby. Thank you very much. I want to thank the committee, Paul, Denise, John Rack, and the many others who have been responsible. On behalf of the City of Derby, the Mayor's Office, and the Board of Aldermen, we welcome all of you. And to Brian Dennehy and Ed Strang, congratulations, and thanks for making Derby a much greater place today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. To make a couple of presentations on behalf of Boy Scout Troop 3 and Pack 3 Derby, I'd like to call upon the Scoutmaster of Troop 3, Randy Ritter.
Brian, on behalf of the Scouts of Pack 3, Troop 3, Post 33, and Housatonic Council, I'd like to present you with one of our Troop 3 80th anniversary t-shirts. I hope you will.
Thank you. It'll never fit.
Now, my only question is, with this key, can I get into Vanetti's?
That's all right. I think you can get into Vanetti's. Is Francis here? You want to open up? That's what he's been talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we'd like to introduce a special guest, Brian Dennehy. Brian.
That orchestra travels with the, I call it cab or whatever they do. They're pretty good. I just wanted to say thank you. I had no idea this was going to be such a... I didn't have no idea I was going to get a t-shirt. But the reason I'm here is hopefully the reason you're all here, which is Ed Strang. Today, in our world, we live in an increasingly complicated and fast-paced and self-absorbed society. And it's nice to know that there are still people like Ed around. He was unselfish and dedicated 60 years of his life to young people and to improving young people and giving them farther horizons and greater goals. So I hope that you would all join with me now in saying thank you to a person who affected my life and many, many thousands of other lives. A person who is a priceless resource in a place like Derby, Connecticut. So please join me in saying thank you to Ed Strang. A few hundred jokes he'd like to tell you.
I tried all my jokes a little while ago, but I do want to thank everybody for coming, and I just hope this key opens something in the city hall. I'm sort of overwhelmed. I didn't have a speech either, but I mean, I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming, and especially the city office officials who planned this thing, and to Randy and John Rack, and anybody I've forgotten. And thanks a million for being here. Thank you.
Yeah, I can get you. Right here, everyone right here. Right here, everybody. Look at there. Okay, no, go ahead, Dave. I'm waiting for you. Go ahead. All right. Now look at this one. Right here, I got everybody. This way. Hey, the kids see you. All right. Oh, another one.
don't you come down here? Walk, I don't want you to come down.
One of the youngsters.
Oh, you'll find a place to sit down. No worries.
Okay, we're ready.
Folks, if we can move into the dining hall, please.
You didn't watch the Notre Dame game? They got me.
May we remain seated and be in a period of prayer. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon this enjoyable experience and our own father of scouting, Ed Strang, an inspiring role model for boys and families over many generations. We ask your blessing on those who have come together from near and far and from many years. We ask your blessing upon our honored guest, Brian Dennehy, who has come from a very busy life and career to honor Ed and to be with us. Now bless the food that has been prepared for us and the hour we will share together. We also ask you to lead us into a world of peace and encourage us to be peacemakers. In your almighty name, amen.
Please be seated. At this time, I would like to call upon the individual who was most responsible for today's Strang Day. He was the organizer, he was the instrumental force behind this day. And it's been a wonderful day so far. Those of you who joined us at the cocktail party or at the Derby Green know that we've had a great day in honoring Ed Strang, Derby Legion citizen. So I'd like to call upon Paul DeVries, co-chairman of today's event.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ed Strang banquet. And it's people like you that make it a great success. That come out and honor two such great people as Ed Strang and Brian Dennehy. At this time, I'll just take a few minutes to introduce the committee that did such a terrific job. Well, first of all, I'd like to, well, everybody knows John Brack, I guess, who was my co-chairman, and he's going to serve as master of ceremonies for the evening. As I call the names, will the committee members stand up so that you can be recognized? First one is John Monahan. Bill Mena. Mark J. Garofalo, who was the entertainment. Mark Izzo, our official photographer. Jenny Izzo, one of the hostesses. Randy Ritter, who did such a terrific job with the Boy Scouts. Amelia and Peter Laverne. Peggy Brennan. Ed Mannion. My Chief of Police, Andrew Coder, who did a terrific job as far as John F. Anglis, Jr. Marty Cadell. And Meg Brandon.
Yeah!
They all did a terrific job. Everybody knew what they had to do, and we all put it together, and I think we had a very successful day today. And now I want to thank Ed Strang for being what he is and bringing honor to the city of Derby. And for another great man who has a heart of gold, Brian Dennehy, who respected and remembered him. And it comes all the way out there. People out in Beverly Hills who worked very hard with me on this year, and that was Brian Dennehy's press agent, Susan Smith, and his personal secretary, Judy Page. Brian, when you get out there, thank them for me. They were very, very nice people. Okay. All right, so that's it, and John now will take over the evening. Enjoy your meal, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul, for being the spearhead behind this wonderful day. And as a token of appreciation from the committee and from the Lusitania Council of Boy Scouts of America, we'd like to present you with this little gift.
Boy Scout emblem. Thank you very much.
The dinner will now be served, and we'll rejoin you after that. The only question I have, is there anybody out there that cannot see too well? Anybody having a problem seeing? I have your glasses here. That's the reason why.
Hey, any other reporter? You think she'll last? I don't know.
Hello, Carolyn. Hey. It's just like,
Are you going to bring it to work so we can look at it?
yeah, I will.
Okay.
I will, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow.
Thanksgiving this evening, he and Caroline are celebrating their 50th anniversary, and I've got a little card here I'd like to present to Ed. It says, Hillary and I are delighted to congratulate you on your wedding anniversary. We hope the years to come are filled with warmth and companionship, and that you've helped us help reach a meaningful day. Our heartfelt best wishes for future happiness. Signed, Bill Clinton and Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Thank you very much, Bill. At this time, I'd like to call upon State Senator Joseph Briscoe from the 17th District and State Representative Vincent Tanucci to make a presentation to both Ed Ed and to Brian. Senator Crisco and Representative Tanucci.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. You know, when you think about all the great people you meet and all the blessings we all have in this room, it becomes more apparent to me every day that I serve as your state senator that I've been very blessed the past few years to represent the Valley in the state senate. And on behalf of the General Assembly, and on behalf of my colleagues, Representative Bukowski, Skalatar, Tanucci, and myself, be it hereby known to all that the Connecticut General Assembly hereby offers a sincere congratulations to Evan Strang in recognition of his 67 years of dedicated service as pack leader of Cub Pack number 3 and also the Boy Scouts of America, Derby, Connecticut. He founded the first Cub Scout pack in America in 1927 and has been a very valuable role model and friend just to countless numbers of Cub Scouts and Scouts over the years. And let me just add that if there were more Ed Strangs and more Boy Scouts in America, we would have fewer problems with what I do today. So on behalf of the entire membership, we wish to extend its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and express the hope for continued success given this day of September 10th at State Capitol Hartford, signed by John Larson, President of the Senate, Tom Ritter, Speaker, and Pauline Keiser, Secretary of State.
Thank you. Ed and I go way back too. I've known Ed for probably over 40 years now, and many years ago I was a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout with Ed Strang. It's an honor to be here tonight with two great celebrities, Ed Strang and Brian Dennehy, and I'm very proud to see Brian Dennehy, back here in Derby, and it's nice of him to come back and visit. And I'm sitting at the table here with many of his relatives. I understand he has about 75 relatives right here in the Valley area.
I wonder how many of them paid, too.
I wonder how many paid. As long as they vote for Joe and myself, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I have a citation here for Brian. The State of Connecticut General Assembly official citation introduced by myself and John Bukowski, Helen Skalatar, and Senator Crisco. Be it hereby known to all that the General Assembly hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Brian Dennehy in recognition of his countless contributions to the world of movies, television, and theater. His success continues to make his hometown of Derby very proud. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success given this 10th day of September, 1994 at the State Capitol, Hartford, Connecticut, and signed by all the top officials in the state of Connecticut. Congratulations. Thank you.
This doesn't mean I have to pay taxes here. The little wanker knows I live in New Mexico, right?
At this time, I'd like to call upon the Mayor of Derby, the Honorable Alan Schlesinger. Alan?
Thank you very much, John, and thank you all for coming this evening. It's a great honor to be with so many distinguished people, both in the audience and here at the head table. My first duty to perform is for the Congressman who was here earlier. Many of you, I'm sure, said hello to Congressman Franks. And unfortunately, he had another event, but he asked me to read this letter for Ed. And so here it goes. Dear Mr. Strang, it is a distinct pleasure and a great honor to write this letter of congratulations in recognition of the distinction being awarded you today. Having a day named in your honor is truly a most prestigious accolade. It is only fitting that a person of your stature be recognized with such fanfare, since you have dedicated much of your life to the development and growth of a fine organization, the Boy Scouts of America. The town of Derby and the entire valley as well has benefited greatly from your expertise and background in the field of scouting. Your unselfish efforts and continuous involvement as a Boy Scout leader lend testimony to the fact that you care deeply about young people and their diverse needs and varied concerns. The influence that you have had on our youth is immeasurable and is manifested in the appearance of Mr. Brian Dennehy, who has graciously agreed to participate in today's festivities. You are truly a great humanitarian who has placed his fellow man before himself. I commend you on your achievements, and I thank you for all that you have done on behalf of so many. God bless you. Gary Franks, Member of Congress. This is also a certificate of congressional record. There you go, sir. Congratulations, Ed. Now, on behalf of the Board of Aldermen and myself and the City of Derby, first I would like to thank my good friend and assessor, Paul Denise, and John Rack for doing such an outstanding job here in the committee. If any of you are on the green this afternoon, you witnessed before your eyes a Norman Rockwell painting. We really have brought back, I believe, the spirit, the recognition of what was once a great, beautiful, outstanding valley, and we have brought it home today, and this is the beginning. And I just can't thank Brian and Dennehy and Ed for all his years of service to the area, and all of you for making all of this possible. And all I can say about Mr. Dennehy is that if you really mean what you just said, I think, you know, we could have a great campaign to get rid of that income tax. Because we, you know, a lot of us aren't too happy about it. And if you would agree to come back to Connecticut, if we repeal the income tax, what do you think, folks? Don't you think you can do it? Oh, yeah.
Tell you what, you get rid of the tax first, and then we'll talk.
He knows the politicians of Connecticut. There's no question about that. But seriously, it's wonderful to have you here, and for, of course, the most important event, which is Ed Strang, and I know that's why Brian is here. So this is a proclamation from all of us here in Derby and from my office, which says the following. Whereas Ed Strang was instrumental in the conception of PAC 3 and the development of Cub Scouts as a part of the Boy Scouts organization for boys under scouting age. And whereas Ed Strang has been a tireless and dedicated supporter of all youth activities in Derby, the Valley, and throughout the state of Connecticut. And whereas Ed Strang has devoted, should I tell him how many years? Over 6 decades to the welfare of the youth of our community, and has been a respected and influential role model for every individual that has known him. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Alan R. Schlesinger, Mayor of the City of Derby, Connecticut, do hereby proclaim Saturday, September 10th, 1994, as Ed Strang Day in the City of Derby, in honor of this most distinguished citizens. Congratulations, Ed, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Now to give us greetings from our host city this evening, the Honorable Thomas Hallahan, Mayor of Ansonia.
Thank you, John. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the citizens of Ansonia, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you here to RAPS and the city of Ansonia. It's not too often that we see so many people from Derby when there's not a football game. So we welcome you, and we hope you enjoy your stay this evening in Ansonia. Tonight I have 2 presentations I'd like to make, the first one being to Brian Dennehy. This citation is hereby declared, Brian Dennehy is hereby declared an honorary citizen of our city, and is entitled to all rights, privileges, and honors pertaining thereto, and has also tendered the key to the city along with his community's very best wishes. With my hand and corporate seal of the city of Ansonia, Connecticut, the 9th day of September, 1994. Thomas F. Hallahan. This means, Brian, you can pay taxes in Ansonia. My second presentation is to our guest of honor tonight. I did not have the privilege of being a scout with Ed Strang because I grew up in Ansonia, but I did go through the scouting program, and when I was a youngster, Ed Strang's name was even famous back in those days. And it's a pleasure for me to be here and to be able to pay tribute to Ed Strang this evening. And Ed, a certificate of recognition. Whereas Ed Strang is being honored on this day, the 10th of September 1994, by his many adopted family of scouting and his many friends. And whereas his endless years in scouting have earned him the admiration and high regard of those with whom he has come into contact, and the affection of his fellow scouters and citizens who are proud to call him friend. And whereas Ed Strang led the pioneer efforts in the field of Cub Scouting, now therefore I, Thomas F. Hallahan, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Ansonia, and on behalf of the citizens of our community, do hereby tender to Ed Strang the certificate of recognition along with a key to the city, and extend to Ed our deepest appreciation for his distinguished service and our best wishes for continued success in all he does. Thank you, Ed.
Earlier, you heard mention to the members of the Brian Dennehy family that were here tonight. In order to get a better appreciation of that, I would like them all, who are related to Mr. Brian Dennehy, to please stand up all at once for special recognition.
Those of you who still can.
Those of you who still can.
Did they give you a check?
Yeah, they did. Excuse me while I get to the bank. We're privileged also to have two other mayors and first selectmen here tonight, and both of these individuals are very important to the scouting program in the Houstonic Council, and I would like to have them come up for a brief word or two. First of all, from the city of Shelton, Brian Dennehy has been wearing, as you might have noticed, the Shelton Viking hat. I don't know. No one else wore the hat, so I just got to wear that one. The Manions. They're both on this stuff. But to hear a word or two from across the Houstonic River, the mayor of the city of Shelton, Mark Loretti.
Thank you, John. Good evening, everyone. It certainly is a pleasure to be here this evening, and I just want every member of the Manion family and anybody who's related to Brian Dennehy who resides in the city of Shelton, he did tell me that he was going to pick up the tab for you tonight. You can say he's a hell of a guy. You know, it's as I stand here tonight, having been a member of scouting for many years when I grew up in the city of Shelton. I started out in Derby and then moved to Shelton, but I started my scouting days in Derby, Pac 3, then moved to Shelton. And I come in here tonight and I look around the room here and it's standing room only. It just tells me what this valley is all about and what scouting is all about and what Ed Strang is all about. And Ed really epitomizes what scouting is all about. And his record is indicative of that. He has touched the lives of many, many people through the many years that he has served. When he started in scouting, I'm not even going to tell you where I was, or where I wasn't. And that's almost an institution. As scouting is, so is Ed Strang. And it's really a pleasure for me to be part of this, to honor a man who has given so much of himself to so many people for such a worthy cause. Oftentimes we look at the media, in the newspaper and the news, and we see all the negative things that are happening around the world and around the country. And it makes you wonder why we don't focus on some of the positive things that really what the country is all about. Scouting certainly being one of them. And people like Ed Strang being in the forefront of scouting. So, to my way of thinking, and being a representative of the city of Shelton, I would just like to say thank you, Ed, for the many years of dedication and the positive force that you have been in scouting and what it's meant to a lot of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn Ray. At this time, I'd like to call on the newest elected, one of the newest elected officials. We've introduced him to scouting most recently. He accompanied some of the boys from Troop 3 on a canoe trip down the Naugatuck River. And it was a great experience for him, I know, and it's an experience that he'll remember for a very long time. He's interested, he participated in recent Camp Reeds, and he's an active supporter of scouting, first selectman of the town of Seymour, John O'Toole.
I have to tell you, I don't know what to say. We're not interested. Seymour's not here to gain taxable revenue, so...
Yeah, that's what they all say.
We don't have any Academy Awards to give out this evening. We did film one movie in Seymour, Other People's Money, and I had 3 cameo appearances in it. It's true. A politician you can believe. I wonder, I'm relatively new to the area, and I wonder if I had been touched by Ed Strang, that I could have some of the roles that Brian Dennehy has, you know. I'd love to get in somebody's face and just yell at him. And I've seen him in a few roles. Actually, it's certainly a pleasure to see you in person. I have a brother who looks just like you. But his personality is more like Cliffy Clavin from Cheers. It's not meant to be funny. That's what I feel in my heart. Something wrong? My fly's up. But I would like to say something on a very serious note, and that is that I've had an opportunity in the brief time that I've lived in this area to see what Troop 3 and to see what scouting is in this area, and it's for real and it's serious. And when they ask the first selectman of Seymour or Shelton, Derby or Ansonia, when young men have come through the process and have arrived at life and Eagle Scout, it's really a stamp of approval and qualification of their character. And I, from what I understand, Mr. Strang is largely responsible for that, and Mr. Ritter is doing a good job. And I think what is good about what is happening here and what I've seen, I go to Washington and I see a member from Troop 3 working in the office of what I would say the most influential congressman from the state of Connecticut. When I canoe down the Naugatuck River with Gary Beck, who can't be with us tonight because Marilyn Reddy's got him washing dishes. That was not supposed to be funny. That was a statement of fact. But what I'd like to say, whether it's somebody who's graduated or has moved on in the scouting, through scouting, the scouts as they go to Europe or they go out to New Mexico, the experiences that they gain and what they contribute to the quality of life here in the valley. And take the project that Gary Beck is working on and that I had an opportunity to experience. That's going to make a real difference
in the life of everyone in this room and for generations to come. And that will be the legacy of Ed Strang. And the town of Seymour, the first selectman of Seymour, is here tonight to say thank you. Thank you.
Okay, there really was a song sung. It's in the back of your program. The song by Brian Dennehy. He will not be repeating this tonight. Unless he cares to do it later on. But we do have a scout who is prepared to sing it. And at this time, I would like to call upon Scout John Capola to be accompanied by Mark Garfalo, who will perform a most stirring rendition of the song Be a Good Scout. John and Mark. Well, that's your job, actually. He's telling me to pull the mic down. You know, you ever been to a minstrel show? Who pulls the mic down? You got to pull the mic down. All right.
You're gonna do fine.
When there's trouble or there's strife, be prepared to rock your life. It's the scout that has to lend a helping hand. Be a brother, be a friend, never failing to the end. Here is your command. Be a scout and always wear a smile. Be a scout, keep cheerful all the while. It's the greatest indeed that a scout must practice daily. Help those in need, do a good turn daily. Be a scout, be loyal, clean and brave. Never say die, just let your feathers wave. On your honor, do your best when they put you to the test. And always be a good scout. I would like to ask now Mr. Brian Dennehy if he would like to sing. Would you like to hear Mr. Dennehy sing?
Now, hold on. You can't afford me, kid. Nice try. I've been hustled by experts, and that was pretty good. But it ain't gonna work this time.
What I think would be most appropriate, Mr. Dennehy doesn't want to sing. You know what I think we ought to do?
How about Ed Strang?
Go in the back of the program book, open it up to the next to the last page, and we'll sing it back to Brian Dennehy.
Yeah.
How's that sound? And we'll have Scout John Capola lead us once again. So, John, wait a minute. Ed, adjust the mic, please.
I'll go along.
All right.
Be a
audition for the 71st minstrel show. When is that minstrel show held, anyway?
May 6th and 7th.
May 6th and 7th, the top of the green at the Derby United Methodist Church. Rehearsals will begin right after the first of the year. Thank you. Okay. Ryan, you're pretty secure in your career now, right? There's not too many setbacks now. There's a setback maybe coming now.
Yeah, gonna be close tonight.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the distinct privilege and pleasure. This is a written-in item on the program tonight. Here we are, in Quickly, special appearance by the Troop 3 Matrons. And don't ask me what's coming next, because I don't know either. Troop 3 Matrons. I call your attention to the back of the room.
If there is one, it's because we are the Troop 3 Matrons because there was a mother who decided that she was too sexy for the troop. And we were too matronly for her to participate with. So, we decided to become professionals. We decided that we were happy to be the proud, the one and only, the Troop Matrons. And we didn't want to let this occasion go by without paying tribute to Ed here. And we have some awards of our own to give him. Unlike the Wingdorf Zorkas, which some of you will have to ask Scout members what that is, we are not gender restrictive. And so we are going to present to Ed and Brian both the Mock Award. We have spared no expense in getting these with their own name on it. You? Okay? Ed, this is for you. Okay? That means this, you have to work up to getting buckets.
Does Hillary Clinton know about this?
Good luck, and thank you both for all you've done. Thank you.
Oh, here, Rain, you can use this. Now I want to take my prune juice tonight.
No further explanation is needed. To return to more serious, really serious note, I would now like to call upon the Scout Executive of the Houstonic Council to make a presentation and also to read something that you'll all find very, very important and very meaningful. So I call your attention to the next remarks to be given by the Scout Executive of the Houstonic Council, Marty Cadell. Marty?
I always wanted to follow the Marple line. Appreciate your greeting, and also that very special greeting you gave me as I came up to the head table here behind Brian. That really meant a lot to me. And I'm sure you all join me in welcoming our two favorite Cub Scouts to the Valley here, Ed and Brian. If there was a merit badge for patience, I think we'd have to give it to Brian Dennehy today. I've had the good fortune of following him around most of the afternoon, and he's been besieged by all of us who want photos and autographs and all the rest, and he hasn't brushed anyone off. It's been wonderful. We appreciate it, Brian, very, very much. I hesitate to say that I've had Brian in my living room many times as I've laid on the couch with the TV on. I cleaned it up, Lois, it's okay. Lois, my wife and I enjoy the movies a great deal. As a matter of fact, the last movie we went to see, and some of you may have seen it, is Clear and Present Danger. How many of you have seen that? You may wonder, control yourself, but you may wonder why I bring that movie up. Brian wasn't in it. It was another former scout, Harrison Ford, who was in that movie. And those of you who saw it, let me give you, or who didn't see it, let me give you just a little background. Harrison Ford played a CIA agent who wouldn't play the game. He refused to break the law. He refused to go against what the director of the CIA and the President of the United States told him to do. In other words, he was a man with values and character and ethics and morals. And throughout the movie, whenever the bad guys wanted to insult him, what would they call him? A Boy Scout. Isn't that great? And I'll tell you something, the Boy Scouts of America are proud to be identified with values and character and ethics and morals, and we hope that it continues for a long time. We greatly appreciate Brian Dennehy coming to our council to honor Ed Strang. And as many of you know, or may not know perhaps, the benefit or the proceeds from the events today are going to benefit scouting here in the Valley. For that, we're greatly appreciative. I'd like to call my buddy, he doesn't know I'm going to call him right now, Danny Sexton. Where's Danny? Is he still here? Danny, oh, way down the end. Come on up, Dan. And while you're coming up, let me explain this. The committee asked me to make a presentation to Brian Dennehy because, after all, I'm the most important Boy Scout in the Valley. Well, a few of us didn't really agree with that, and I certainly didn't. And I think on behalf of the truly important people in scouting here in the Valley, I'd like to ask, if you can see him, Danny Sexton, a Cub Scout in Pack 3, to present this, and you can hold it up, to present this plaque on behalf of the council to Brian Dennehy, and we'll let Danny do that.
Are you going to say anything, Danny? Here's the plaque, Mr. Dennehy. Okay. All right. Danny, you're all right because you didn't ask me to sing. Thank you very much, Danny. I appreciate it. And of course, the ironic part of this, or not ironic, but the real part of this, is that, Danny, whether you know it or not, this evening is all about you and those kids over there. And a few people, like some of the other guys over there in short pants, and Ed Strang,
who have devoted so much time and effort and energy and enthusiasm and morality and steadfastness and discipline to guys like you. But you are what this is all about. Thank you. As you'll probably hear later, matter of fact, you're going to hear it now, when word of this dinner was made public, it was picked up by the Associated Press and carried nationally. When that happened, Ed received upwards, I guess, of about 40 phone calls and letters from people, former members of PAC and Troop 3, which I'll let him tell you about later, but there's a couple that he doesn't know about. And I'd like to read both of them, or parts of both of them now. The first one comes from Ed's cousin in Mesa, Arizona. And I'm not going to read the whole letter, I'll just read part of it. It was addressed to me, as a matter of fact. And it says in part, when I found the clipping in my paper here, I just had to get in touch with Edmund and praise him and bless him for his many years in scouting. I'm very happy that I'm able to give $5,000 to the Housatonic Council Endowment Fund on Ed's behalf. My husband and I always appreciated the Scouts in Michigan. Ed and I are the only Strangs left. And there's a P.S. God bless Edmund and the Council and all the Scoutmasters for all the time spent helping so many boys become strong, good men. Adeline Strang Sartoff. And as a result of the $5,000, which she donated to the Council's Endowment Fund, Ed has become the recipient of one of the newer recognitions in the Boy Scouts of America, the James E. West Fellowship. The only problem with that is, Ed's already been recognized with that award. So tonight he becomes the first person in the Boy Scouts of America to receive it twice. The endowment fund, of course, is those monies that will remain in trust in the council and help boys generations to come. And now I'd like to read another letter that Ed also didn't know about. This came addressed, by the way, to Ed Strang, Scoutmaster, Derby, Connecticut. It ended up at the Boy Scout office, and I opened it thinking it was probably a ticket request for tonight, but it wasn't. I was very glad I opened it, and this is what the letter says. I hope I can get through this. Dear Ed Strang, I hope this letter will reach you and find you in good health. My wife read in the local newspaper in Palo Alto, California, that Brian Dennehy, the actor, will go home to Derby in September to participate in a banquet honoring you. I am so glad that she did not overlook this small news item because it told me the town you live in, although not the address. The anniversaries of the Great World War 50 years ago may have reminded you of your stay in Budapest, Hungary, in 1945 and 46, and of the George Washington Boy Scout troop, which you founded. I was fortunate to have learned some English language in grade school, a rare subject in pre-war Hungary, and so became your interpreter. I was 15 at the time, having had just survived the Holocaust and all the other horrors of the Great War which swept through my home. My friends and I were overjoyed to have gained our freedom and the opportunity to join an American-led scout troop. We were a ragged, urban bunch of kids holding our meeting in an air raid shelter and not having the means to go camping and do other normal scout activities. Still, your enthusiasm and help made our lives brighter, which is exactly what we all needed at that horrible time. I want you to know that you have done a good deed in a time of need, so I join in the toasts raised in your honor in the Hungarian style. May you live for 120 years in health and happiness. Briefly about my life so far. When graduating from high school in 1949, the communists took over the government with promises how great everything will be for us. As my family was classified as enemy, my father was a small shopkeeper, I was rejected twice from entering the university. I finally managed to enter in the third year with my boss's underground help and earned a degree in electrical engineering in 1956. Later in the same year, the long-suppressed hate for the Soviet occupation and their puppet dictatorship exploded in a revolution which cost 20,000 lives when it was crushed. As I was involved myself, I had to flee to avoid arrest. My refuge became Sydney, Australia, and later, due to professional reasons, I immigrated to the United States, and I presently work in Silicon Valley on satellite communication transmitters. My wife and I have 4 grown children. Ed, the best wishes again on the occasion of your banquet. If you ever come to the San Francisco Bay Area, please look me up. Your grateful ex-scout and interpreter from Budapest, Steve Geiger.
Wow.
And he enclosed a Xeroxed copy of a photograph of he and Ed, which he's kept for all these years. Obviously not wanting to part with the real thing. Ed, I have the real letter for you. I'll give you later, and I predict that even after the festivities of the day, that Ed will go home and either tonight or tomorrow he'll be calling California. I guarantee you that's going to happen. Ed, we love you.
At this time, there's been a man sitting next to Brian who's been very, very patient. A lot of people come up to me earlier and they say, hey, that guy over there, he looks like Buddy Amendola. Well, it is Buddy Amendola. I say, well, why is he here? Well, he's going to tell you why he's here, because he has a special connection to both Pac 3, Troop 3, and Post 33 as a former scout, and a special connection to Brian Dennehy, which he will tell you about himself. So one of Derby's greatest football heroes is also Buddy Amendola. Thank you very much, John. Reverend Carr, mayors, various cities, Mr. Strang, Mr. Dennehy, ladies at the head table, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a pleasure for me to be here this evening to recognize a legend. As you know, Ed Strang is synonymous with scouting, but there are a few things that you probably don't know about Ed Strang that I want to tell you about. I was somewhat of a youngster a few years back, and I remember this guy with a bow tie working for the gas company and running up the street, and he's still running today, I understand. He's still marching in parade. And it was absolutely unbelievable. I was awed by the fact that I see this little guy in, you know, so suave and debonair and dapper, and that was Mr. Strang. So I, as a youngster, I was awed by Mr. Strang until I found out what he was all about. And I was a scout in those days, and I also want to pay tribute to the accordion player here tonight, Mark Garofalo. Let's give him a nice hand. He did a great job. The reason I say that, Mark, I know I played the accordion, and I played at a couple of jamborees and at camp when I was scouting. And Mr. Strang, I want to say that you were a great singer at Rotary. I heard you today tell some jokes, and you better stick to singing. In all seriousness, though, I just can't tell you how happy and honored I'm to be here tonight. And when you look at a guy like Ed Strang, what he's devoted his whole life to enhancing the quality of life for youngsters. And that's what it's all about. As Brian said, we're here tonight for Boy Scouts, the youngsters, and that's what life is all about. When a guy can commit himself the way Ed Strang has, he's the epitome of what legends are all about. And Ed, on behalf of all the thousands of boys that you really helped, we all thank you, we love you, and God bless you. Now I'll talk a little bit about the big guy. I say this in all due respect. Big guy. It was ironic that we both started our careers at Columbia University. Brian as a student athlete, and Buddy as a coach. That was my first experience, and you probably remember the gentleman that was very instrumental in me getting there was Lou DiFilippo.
Lou DiFilippo was on the staff with Lou Little, who in his time was the epitome of what coaching was all about. And I was fortunate enough in those days to have been appointed freshman coach. Now, lo and behold, when I saw the roster of the players coming in, this Dennehy kid was from Chaminade, Long Island, or someplace like that. I'd never dreamed that he had ties in Derby, Connecticut. Until I read the paper, and this is a few years back. I read the paper not long ago. And I wanted to come tonight because of Ed, but I asked Paul Denise. And he told me about it, and he said, yes, he's coming, and I remembered, but I had no idea this guy had ties in Derby. And I should have known in those days, because he was tough. He really was. I said, that's the only way. They come from a place like Derby, you know. But I was very, very happy and proud to have been on that staff with him, and I have a picture here that I showed him earlier, and we reminisced a little bit. And it was just ironic that the ties with Derby, and especially with Mr. Strang, and you know, when you look at his busy schedule, what he's accomplished, he's a great artist, he's everything that you possibly can think about in a human being. To be here tonight, it's a tribute not only to Ed, but to Brian. And I congratulate you, Brian, for making that sacrifice and being here tonight. I had a story in those days as a freshman coach, and it was my first assignment. I was so proud to be on the staff with Lou Little, as I said, was a legend. And as a freshman coach, I was still a little wet behind the ears, but I had great tutors. I had Lou DiFilippo, as you all know, went on to fame here, not only in Derby, but in the pros. But that was the start of my coaching career. But it was men like Lou Little and Buck Dinelli and Lou DiFilippo and guys like Ed Strang that contributed all the little success I've had to say there are men like this, and thank God we have them. So at this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you, I don't have to tell you how great he is great, Brian Dennehy.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, Buddy was a bachelor in those days. I can tell you some stories. A very good-looking Italian fellow down there in New York. He had a wonderful time. It's been a wonderful day. I want to thank everybody up here, everybody out there, and all the other people that I met today. It's been a lot of fun coming back and seeing my family that I must admit that I just don't see enough of. It's amazing, you know, we all get caught up in our lives, and I lead an extremely complicated life. And there's a tendency in this kind of a life to, you know, to just go so fast that you forget things, or you ignore things, or you move past things. 6 months or so ago, when Paul got in touch with my people and said, you know, all you had to do is mention Ed Strang, I said, yeah, sure, I'll be there. Of course, all kinds of things happened in the meantime. I just directed a picture which someone described accurately as similar to being pecked to death by 10,000 ducks. And I haven't finished that experience yet, so I still have some pecking to go back to. I'm flying to LA tomorrow to finish that. But when you do get old, and buddy, you are older.
Thanks for reminding me.
You begin to realize what's important. And you begin to think about what's important. And when there are several things that are important to me here. My family, the Manions, spread out all over the place, all those freebies. I had a
a terrific surprise when my cousin, Johnny Lynch, showed up, who was a hero to me as a kid. Hero in World War II, which he was. And he came with his family, and that means a great deal to me. And being here in Derby, where I spent between the years, I was 5, I guess, 4 or 5, and probably 11. And those were the happiest years of my life, because I was surrounded by a big, brawling, loud family who cared about me, who loved me. You only realize much later that we didn't have any money, but we had a lot of love and a lot of security. And I probably never say enough to them how much they all mean to me, which is another reason why I'm here. But the biggest reason I'm here is sitting right next to me. Because another one of those influences during that critical time of my life was a guy who used to race around Derby. Remember, his pants hiked up and he always was moving 45 miles an hour. There was never enough time in the day to do everything that he wanted to do. And think about that. 60 years. 2, 3 days a week, 4 days a week. Thousands and thousands and thousands of lives affected, changed, helped. No money. Okay, at Strang, we're not talking about somebody who went out and made $10 million. We're not talking about somebody who was in the newspapers all the time, or who spent his life trying to make his life better. He spent his life helping other people, young people. Some kids with situations at home that were not great, kids that could have gone in a lot of different directions, and didn't, because of him, because of his dedication, because of his interest, his enthusiasm. 60 years worth. Now, we live in a world where too little attention is paid to people like Ed Strang. We don't hear about it. They're not in the papers. It's Madonna and O.J. Simpson and Michael Jackson. Well, I like to think about Derby and the Manions and Johnny Lynch, and most of all tonight, Ed Strang. So what I'd like to do is to take one of the practices from my business and use it tonight. I'd like to give Ed Strang a standing ovation. Thank you. If we had a curtain up here, we could have a couple of curtain calls, but that's for the minstrel show. We'll let that go next time. Thank you all, and thank you, Ed.
John made a big mistake tonight. Come on, Ed, fix the microphone for me just like in the show. He gets to, or he asked an Edman to come up and introduce the interlocutor. I'm here tonight to tell you some true stories, as briefly as I can, about my experiences with Ed. And it's kind of fitting tonight that I do this because there are two people in this room that are primarily responsible for my being involved in scouting 30 years ago. Gary Scarp is one of them. I know Gary's here. Where's Gary? Over there. Gary's right there, and I'll tell you why. And there's another gentleman that's sitting even closer. He's my Uncle Lou, who was an Eagle Scout in his troop, a former N-man. And growing up as a kid in Shelton, I never had the opportunity to be a Cub Scout. But growing up, because of my closeness with my uncle and his family, I always heard about scouting. I knew my uncle was an Eagle Scout. He used to talk about Ed Strang all the time. Ed Strang could do this, Ed Strang could do that. Ed Strang could light a fire with one match. He could name every tree in the forest. He could tell you this and he could tell you that. He could set up a campsite in 10 seconds and still have time to do everything else in the day. And this is what I heard for years and years and years. Ed Strang can do this and Ed Strang can do that. So a lot of years go by, and my uncle, not to mention, he would pull out his Eagle badge every once in a while and wave it in front of my nose and say, you have one of these? I say, no. So that was an inspiration on my uncle's part to get me motivated. And growing up in Shelton, I got to know Gary in school. In the neighborhood, we used to hang around with my grandmother's. Gary lived not too far from my grandmother's. And one night in September 1964, he said, geez, why don't you come down to my house? A bunch of us are getting together tonight. So I went down, and I walked into what I didn't know was a patrol meeting of the Thunderbird Patrol. And it was a scout meeting. I said, wow, a scout meeting. And I had such a good time, Gary said, well, geez, why don't you come to our troop meeting tomorrow night? And I said, yeah, I think I can do that. And I said, well, by the way, who's the scoutmaster? And he said, Ed Strang. Ed Strang! Oh, my God! I said, this is the man I've heard about all my life. Here I am, a 12-year-old kid, and I'm sitting there trying to imagine this man that could do just about anything. Tall, broad-shouldered, blonde, finely chiseled figures, right? Like a Nordic god, So I get all set, and I go home and I say to my mother and my father, I say, geez, I'm going to Troop 3, and I'm gonna meet Ed Strang, finally meet Ed Strang. I think I even called my uncle that night, and I told him. And Wednesday night rolls around the next day, and I walk into the congregational church with Gary, and I'm looking for Ed Strang. And over walks this short, politically correct, vertically challenged gentleman who's pudgy, balding. I mean, he was old 30 years ago. And I'm looking at this man, I'm saying, where is this Nordic guy? I'm looking at a guy that looks like Oliver Hardy and Lou Costello. And everything went right out the window. But no, I'm only kidding, seriously. Ed is a giant among men. He's always been number one, one of the top people in my life throughout my scouting career as a volunteer professional, now again as a volunteer. And Ed's just meant so much to me. The other night, I experienced something that I never thought I'd experience. I went back to my old troop meeting, the old congregational church, and I walked through the door with my son. And we live in Naugatuck, and my son went through the scouting program in Naugatuck, had a great experience. And we went to camp this summer at Strang Scout Reservation, and we were all set to get ready to gear up to join our troop in Naugatuck, and my son said, I don't want to join that troop, I want to join 3. So here we are back at 3, and I hope Matt experiences, if he gets a fraction of what I got out of the scouting program, I'll be immensely pleased as a parent. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce the keynote speaker for the evening, Ed Strang, our interlocutor. Thanks, Ed.
He gives 27 seconds for the applause, then you sit down. First of all, I wanted to do some thank yous. And first of all, I want to thank Brian Dennehy, because I really met him today and found out what a nice guy he is. Not to me so much, but to everybody who came up and wanted an autograph or anything like that, he never frowned and turned them away, and he made everybody feel real good about it. And so thank you, Brian, for everything you've done today for me and for the people who know me. And I've wondered, I kept thinking, why did I pick him to sing that song, Be a Good Scout, way back then? Because he had a lot of theater ability at that time. But anyway, I realized
What are you, a theater critic now? John Simon of the Valley.
And I wondered why, because Be a Scout is a pretty high song to sing. And actually, it was made popular by Deanna Durbin. And you know, Deanna Durbin was a real good singer. And but I found out that the reason I had picked him is because he had belonged to a church choir, and he was the only one that had a voice, a tenor voice that could carry the song. So that's why Brian sang Be a Good Scout.
I used to pull my underwear up real high.
And he almost,
them high notes.
He almost choked doing that one night. Anyway, for Brian's clan that's here, I did know Frank Mannion very, very well. He was eventually chief of police of the city of Derby, and this shows how scouting fits into the picture. And he was a motorcycle cop in Derby. And so I was the camp director at Camp Irving, and we decided on a hoax. This was during the war years. We decided on a hoax. In those days, we could get away with this because we get sued today. But, anyway, I had spoken to Frank and asked him to come up and speak to the kids at a noonday meal. And he drove his motorcycle all the way up this dirt road in Shelton up to Camp Irving where we were. And the hoax was this: he was to tell them that there were two escaped Nazi prisoners. They had this camp up in Danbury where they kept the Nazi prisoners who were captured and everything. And he was to tell them that there were two escaped prisoners. And so he came up and he gave them a big spiel, and he asked them if any of the scouts saw these escaped prisoners, would they please let one of us know, and we would contact the police and get after them right away. And in the meantime, we had this gang worked up where we had made two dummies, and we had old fatigue uniforms and everything. We put them in the top of a tree way out in the woods. And so that night at campfire, one of the kids who was in on the end of it came running in, and he said, I think we saw some prisoners. So we got the whole camp, and we got out there under the tree. Now, in the meantime, we had the tree rigged up, the joke rigged up. So after we looked there, and the guys the kids shone their light up on the tree and everything, they saw these two dummies. And just then we pulled the string, and the dummies kept tumbling down to the tree. And 50 kids would like that all over the place, you know, and everything. And then of course, they felt, they realized it was a joke and everything. But Frank Mandy was the one that made it possible, because the policemen come up there making that announcement. Did the trick for us and everything. So that was something you didn't know, Brian. And
just think of all the psychiatrist bills that I've got. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of psychology.
I hope it did some good. I guess you could call that the power of scouting. And then another thing came up tonight, something that struck home. You know, they read that letter from this fellow Steve Geiger, and I remember Steve. And my experience with there, we were very, very new in Budapest. We had just gone in Budapest about 3 days. And all of a sudden, the scout came up to me and he said, we'd like to have you come to our, we're having a troop meeting, we'd like to have you come. And he spoke a little bit of English. So that night I went over there, you know, and here there was about 20 or 30 fellows, you know, and they said, we're going to sing the national anthem for you. And I said, gee, that's great, you know. And the fellow said, now, these fellows don't know English good, they may mispronounce the words. But he said, I taught them your national anthem, and so when you come in, they're going to sing it. So when I got in there, they all stood up and everything, they saluted, and then they started singing John Brown's Body. And this is what they really thought was the national anthem. And I was so touched, though. I said, yes, the first time I ever heard the national anthem in that key, but it was wonderful, you know, and it really was. And then I thought, I said, well, you know, the Nazis were here. How did you fellows all get together as scouts? They said, well, we got together as an Esperanto group. And an Esperanto is some sort of a language you learn, and they were able to get away with it by doing that, not in scouting and everything. And so this wasn't the troop that I helped out over there, but I used to go back and visit them and everything. This fellow, Steve Geiger, came from that troop. And another incident I have to tell you over there, I decided to go out to a scout camp out there. I mean, I had every third day off in the Army, and I mean, because I was a photographer, we worked 8-hour shifts and different nights and everything. And so I decided to go out. And now I want you to remember, my buying power in in Budapest was 40 to 1. I mean, my American dollar was worth 40 Hungarian dollars at that time. So when I explain the rest of this thing, you'll know what happened. And so this one fellow came along with me, and he was going to show me the way to the camp. And the road to the camp was pockmarked with, you know, you had to drive this way and you had to drive that way. And I had a Jeep. And so we were going along the road, and I said, gee, you know, it'd be nice when we're going along and go out to these scouts. I mean, when I was, if anybody came to camp, they had a lot of donuts or they brought in a lot of peanuts or something like that. It was very interesting. And I said, well, why don't we do this? There's a bunch of stands. They had stalls up there, and I could see they were selling stuff up there. And I said, here's $1 and $1. Go out and buy something, and we'll take it to camp. You know, I mean, and so. He said, I think there's watermelon. I said, good, well, maybe get a watermelon or so. So I said, if I go up there, the price will go up, so you go up there. So he went up to the stall, and a little bit later he went like this, you know, he come on up, and so I went up and I said, how do we make out? He said, we bought the stall. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, see, my buying power was 40 to 1, and I got 39 watermelons for the dollar. So we had to go along in the Jeep, and we put all the watermelons in. I was driving and carrying 3 here, and he was carrying them here. They were all over the place. The only trouble with my watermelons, we hit a bump on the road, and they started to leak. And so, I mean, I had a lot of water by the time I got this. Yeah, those are the things that happen. Those are the things that happen in scouting. And one time I was in London. I went to a rotary meeting. When I went there, the man said, we were talking about scouting. He said, "You still in scouting?" And I was about 45 or 50 then. I said, "Yeah." He said, in Holland here, he said, "We don't allow scoutmasters to be over 35 years old." And I said, "Well, how come? Why don't you allow them to be over that age?" And he said, they can't get contact with the boy at 11 or 12 after they're over 35. I said, well, geez, it's a lot different in America. We keep them as scoutmasters till they drop, you know. But anyway, I saw his theory. I saw his theory there. His theory was that, you know, you had to be young. And actually, to be in scouting, you have to be young. But you don't have to be young in age like I am. You have to be young in heart. Because as long as you can do that and you can understand kids, you can get along with them and very, very well. In fact, the cards that not come from our scout camp, but do come from scout camps, and I picked out some of them, and I thought you might get a kick out of it. And these are the kids that are writing home. They've been to camp, you know, and it says, "Dear Mom and Dad, you said to change my underwear every day. Today I changed it with Mickey. Tomorrow I changed it with Joe." I thought that was cute. And the next one says, "Dear Mom and Dad, I wish Rover was up here. There's an awful lot more trees up here." And another one wrote home and said, "Dear Ma, you're wrong. Yesterday I saw a real cow. It doesn't look like Aunt Bertha." And another one. It says, "Dear Ma, I miss you very much. Please send me your picture in a box of candy." That kid wasn't so dumb. "Dear Ma, you know, I used to hate spinach. Well, they serve spinach here. Boy, I still hate it." "Dear Mom and Dad, yesterday we played Catch the Fly. Terry Stone had the Cubs up there, and I think she tried this out. We caught flies. I got 8. Here they are in the envelope. Please send them, please save them for me. This is my new hobby." And what else we got here now? Oh, then this one kid, the first day he was up to camp, he says, no, this is not the first time. "Dear Ma, I like it up here. They teach you how to do things. Last week I caught a skunk. Please send me 3 cans of tomato juice." And then it says, "Dear Ma, I'm homesick. I miss you yelling at me." That's an honest one, too. "Dear Ma, I got your letter, and the answer to your question is yes. I go every day." The last one is cute one. The kid says, "Dear Ma, I don't wet the bed anymore. They cured me up here. They use a clothespin." I think that's a lot. They said a lot of things that we can really believe in. And, I do want to thank you all for coming tonight, and hope you have a safe journey home, and hope I'm here the next time you have a party. Thank you.
At this time, to make a special presentation to Ed Strang, I'd like to call upon Sam D'Ambrosio. Sam?
Thank you very much. About a year and a half ago, I was going through some family items, and I found one of the few merit badges that I ever got. And one of them was the one for art and painting. And this man has taught me not only that and helped me through that, but he's also taught me about a lot of things in leadership, in citizenship, and just how to get along in the world. And boy, do we need to get along in the world a lot better than we have. And I'd like to thank him for it. And so I'd like to give him something that he gave me, which I carried through from the time I was about 5 or 6, through college, painted through the Marines, I painted all the way through, and I'm still painting. So this is for Ed.
It's right here, right?
About ready to bring this evening's festivities to a close. At this time, I would like to call upon a young lady who started many of the Youth Connection performances.
Thanks.
This began as a freshman at Yale University. Most of you have heard her sing. She's going to come up here and sing for us, God Bless America, Miss Erin McCarthy.